Okay, so today is December the 4th, 2024, and this is going to be my last video of the day. But we're going to get into Donald Trump's pick for director of the FBI. I'm listening to this Kask Patel guy, and he's speaking some very dangerous rhetoric. I mean, he's treading into water that he don't want to tread into. But let's get into it, and I'll elaborate along the way. And this particular story right here was run on The Hill. This is my first time ever hearing of this show. You know, I don't follow American media, but yeah, this is a story that broke on The Hill.
And welcome to Rising. Happy Tuesday. Stephen, this is 2 days in a row we have inadvertently color coordinated in our choice of ties. I don't know what this means.
We were both feeling purple today.
Both feeling purple indeed. Well, it's good to have you back with us in the chair.
Excited to be here. Robbie, what's on your radar today?
Happy to tell you. Well, President Donald Trump has made another appointment, and for many libertarians, conservatives, and even the populists, foes of big government alike, this is probably the most exciting pick yet. Trump has chosen Kask Patel, a former national intelligence advisor, to serve as director of the FBI. Now, in his statement announcing the pick over the weekend, Trump hailed Patel as an America First fighter who has spent his career exposing corruption, defending justice, and protecting the American people. Trump noted Patel's pivotal role in exposing the Russia hoax. Indeed, Patel's contributions to that expose are what first made him such a hero to pro-civil liberties Republicans. In 2016, Patel was working as an aide to House Intelligence Committee Chair Devin Nunes. Now, it was Patel who allegedly authored a memo claiming that the FBI had unjustly surveilled Carter Page, a Trump campaign aide, on suspicion that Page was a Russian asset. Now, Carter Page was an important figure in the national intelligence apparatus's efforts to smear the Trump campaign as openly working with Russia to influence the 2016 election. The FBI ultimately came up with no proof that Carter Page was, in fact, a Russian spy. Moreover, the process of applying for a FISA warrant to surveil him was, as Kask Patel argued, brazenly improper. A 2019 Inspector General report on the surveillance of Carter Page concluded that the FBI committed no fewer than 17 serious performance failures relating to the warrants the agency obtained to spy on Carter Page. Now, to summarize, the FBI had every reason to believe that Carter Page was not a Russian spy, but nevertheless, they not only sought a FISA warrant to surveil him, they had it reauthorized 3 times. That just goes to show you how imperiled our civil liberties really are. Relying on outdated and obviously inaccurate information from sources such as the infamous Steele dossier, the FBI surveilled an innocent American and convinced a court to reauthorize this spying repeatedly. Your tax dollars at work, ladies and gentlemen. And yet, when that Inspector General report was released, the mainstream media acted as if it vindicated the FBI and the FISA court because the report did not find evidence of deliberate maliciousness. James Comey and Andrew McCabe took victory laps, and the agency itself released a statement celebrating that the report, quote, does not impugn the FBI's institutional integrity, it doesn't doubt or propose any changes to the FBI's mission or core values, it doesn't criticize or question the brand that this organization has earned over 111 years. In other words, the agency and the G-men who run it took a victory lap. Mainstream media commentators were thrilled to acquit them. But there was one man who wasn't quite ready to let the FBI off the hook for 17 serious performance failures, who believes perhaps that no government agency should breathe a sigh of relief after being found responsible for such wrongdoing. That man is Kask Patel. Let's watch an old interview with Patel where he describes what he would like to do with the FBI.
Then we need to decrease what I call government creep with personnel. The FBI's footprint has gotten so freaking big, and the biggest problem the FBI has come out of its intel shops. I'd break that component out of it. I'd shut down the FBI Hoover building on day one and reopening the next day as a museum of the deep state. And I'd take the 7,000 employees that work in that building and send them across America to chase down criminals. Go be cops. You're cops. Go be cops. Go chase down murderers and rapists and drug dealers and violent offenders. What do you need 7,000 people there for? Same thing with DOJ. What are all these people doing here? Looking for their next government promotion, looking for their next fancy government title, looking for their parachute out of government. So while you're bringing in the right people, you also have to shrink government.
So a massive government reform.
Yeah, and you got to work with Congress to eliminate the billets. This is one of the things we did when I was deputy DNI. We got to DNI and I was like, okay, what do all these people do? We've got the CIA, so why do I have analysts doing the CIA's job here? Why do I have a floor of them? Like, give me a good answer. I don't know everything. I don't know a lot. But if you can give me an answer that satisfies their existence, I'm all in. Well, we just have our own people. Okay, well, now we don't. And we went to Congress and zeroed out a bunch of billets. And they hated us for it.
Shalom, everyone. My name is Eris Soref. I'm the president of One for Israel. I'm sure many of you...
That all said.
This guy's talking some very dangerous rhetoric. I mean, obviously he doesn't know how dangerous the FBI really is. I personally know how dangerous they are. The FBI is crystallized into the American system. The FBI isn't going anywhere. He's not going to come in and shut the J. Edgar Hoover building down. I mean, he's trying to. I'm hoping that this is just a joke. Maybe this guy is joking with us, but he's making some very powerful enemies. Unlike Donald Trump, the enemies that he's making, he's not going to be afforded the same protection that Donald Trump is going to be afforded with. This guy's walking. He's talking some dangerous rhetoric, and I'm telling you now, they will make his life miserable. They will make his life miserable. Yeah, let's keep going.
Sounds pretty good to me. Maybe it sounds good to you too. Let's save money where we can and then restore the true purpose of the FBI, which is to identify and arrest criminals, not to operate as yet another wing of an ever-expanding permanent federal intelligence bureaucracy that is largely independent of political constraints. This does not sound good to John Bolton, however, the ardent hawk turned CNN's favorite Republican, derided Kask Patel as akin to the head of a secret police like Stalin's Lavrentiy Beria. The Senate should reject this nomination 100-0, said Bolton. This is America. We do not want the head of the federal government to operate a Stalin-esque secret police. I agree with John Bolton on that. But many Americans think the FBI already behaves that way, under no one's direction but their own. And so Kask Patel has emerged as another very controversial appointee described as a loyalist, which is a word that has suddenly taken on this negative connotation in the mainstream media that, the president has picked someone who is loyal to him. But okay, I'm open-minded. I don't know that much about this figure, and I'm listening to his interviews, and I'm listening to what he wants to do. And I think contracting the mission creep of the FBI is, in fact, a good thing. It sounds downright libertarian to me, so I'm excited to see what he might do.
Well, let's go back to your point about loyalist. You don't want a uncompromising loyalist in this position of FBI director. There's a reason why FBI directors have 10-year terms, although Trump is now subverting that, because the FBI director is supposed to be more independent-minded. They're supposed to be nonpartisan. They're supposed to have some distance from the president of the United States. And historically, that's been the case under many presidents. Kask Patel is obviously taking a different view on this. Now, I can appreciate the concerns around protecting civil liberties, but the thing is, civil liberties only matter when you're truly protecting the civil liberties of people you disagree with. And Kask Patel has made it a point of his to create an enemies list and to make it about us versus them, and having essentially positioning himself to be the most pugilistic of Trump appointees. I can see that maybe working in other positions in an administration, but not for FBI director. And that matters, especially when there are going to be some important issues that come up next year. For example, what's going to happen with the January 6th rioters? I think Kask Patel is dead wrong. when it comes to January 6th, because that was an insurrection. People violated the law. They broke into.
It was not an insurrection. For them to paint January 6th movement as an insurrection, it was not an insurrection. We should look up, when I get more time, we're going to look up the definition of an insurrection. An insurrection is an armed uprising to overthrow the government. Armed uprising. That's what an insurrection is.
The Capitol, and people need to be brought to justice. They will have due process and access to a public defender, and people like Kask Patel should know that because he's been a public defender.
Well, I'm fine with that. The people who smashed windows and trespassed and fought with police, they should be.
That's all it was: smashing windows and scuffles with the police. It was not an insurrection.
Because they have been sentenced. They've rounded up dozens, hundreds of them. They're serving their time. I don't know that they need to be jailed for the rest of eternity. And that's not specific to them. I'm a criminal justice reform-minded person, and I don't want people languishing in prison unnecessarily unless they're violent and still an ongoing danger to their fellow Americans. I hear you on the assembling an enemies list, all that kind of stuff. That's not. I agree with you. That's not what I want to see from the FBI director or anyone else appointed to an actual government position. Some of this, I suspect, is rhetoric from people not in government. As a spokesperson for Trumpism and as somebody who wants to combat with the mainstream media, I think it's fine as rhetoric. It should not be policy of the FBI. And I agree with you that the FBI director should be independent-minded enough to pursue criminal charges against Republicans or even against the Republican president if it is warranted. But what conservatives believe is that the supposedly apolitical thrust of the FBI over the past years was not actually apolitical or independent. It was in fact very much politically driven by an anti-Trump, pro-government, taking on a life of its own, right? I mean, Comey, the figurehead of apolitical governance or what, just calling balls and strikes, presided over incredibly politically consequential decisions for and against Republicans in terms of the Hillary Clinton investigation and then in terms of his clashes with Trump. And I don't know, a lot of people on both sides think those were unfair to those campaigns for various reasons. So it's a difficult needle to thread. I'll certainly criticize him if he is just covering up for Republican criminal activity. But in terms of the changes and reforms he wants to bring to the organization, I think they're very, very needed and will benefit. What about the declassification he wants to do? I didn't even mention that yet. He has promised mass declassification. This could be everything from Kennedy assassination to RFK
to my file. They need to declassify my file because I definitely want to know. Yeah. I want to know who's in charge of my case down at the FBI office.
To Epstein, to COVID origins. That's the thing I want most of all.
Yes, I think that is important. I think, however, if you have someone who comes in with all the rhetoric that he's espoused, and you make a good point, maybe it is just rhetoric, but if he actually translates his egging on the Steve Bannon podcast and his love fest that he's having in the Trump media orbit right now, translates that into FBI policy, that would return the FBI to some of its darkest days under Hoover, where they're wiretapping people they say are terrorists, but that turned out to be Martin Luther King Jr.
We're going to shut down the building named after him. That's what we're going to do.
Well, certainly they should rename the building, but there is a reason why you have people meeting in an office, and obviously there are already regional FBI offices out there. But we should definitely be worried about what he's talking about, prosecuting journalists. This is what I call conservative right-wing wokeism, which is just as bad as left-wing wokeism. We don't want this cancel culture to emerge from the FBI. That's very dangerous.
Mm-hmm. But
did you hear what this dude said? The FBI been counseling people. That's what they're designed for. They counsel their political opponents.
Do you like the sound of a museum to the deep state? Think of the little kid tour groups coming to D.C., go and see the National Air and Space Museum. What else are we going to see? The museum to the deep state. Oh.
Hey, learn about why Hoover was a bad FBI director.
Exactly. I agree with that. All right, we've got lots more to talk about on Rising today. Stay tuned.
Okay, so there we have it with this Kask Patel guy. I mean, to me, he's like I say, he's spewing a lot of dangerous rhetoric. He's making some very powerful enemies. He better he might have to go the way of what's his name, Edward Snowden. He might have to escape the country because they're going to make his life miserable. If he think he's going to be able to come in and uproot the FBI as an integral institution inside of the American government, he's going to be in for a rude awakening. I mean, they're going to literally rip him to shreds. He's going to wish that he jumped in a pond with crocodiles after they finish with him. But anyway, that's Kask Patel. We'll see. I mean, he's going up against the ruling class, so we'll see. So y'all tell me what y'all think.